The soil of eastern Ukraine is frozen, hard as iron. But beneath the frost, the earth is saturated with blood. Since the first T-72 tank crossed the border, the Russian Federation has paid a staggering, almost incomprehensible price for every square meter of ground it has captured. The casualty count has breached a horrifying milestone: 1 million men. To put that number into perspective, it is the entire population of a major European city. Prague, Sofia, or Birmingham wiped off the map. It is not just a statistic and not demographic catastrophe. This is a lost generation. Entire regions across Russia are already feeling the absence. A shortage is already being felt throughout Russia, and as a result, there are some Russian cities where the lights still come on, but fewer windows glow at night. There are villages where draft notices no longer arrive, not because the war is over, but because there is no one left to send. And yet, despite the blood spilled on the frozen ground, despite the immense scale of the losses, the war is not slowing down. And Russia will feel that absence for decades. Entire towns are already feeling it. Villages where the draft notices stopped coming, because there is no one left to draft. These are men who will never return to the factories of the Urals, the oil fields of Siberia, or the offices of Moscow, and they are gone. Yet, inside the fortified walls of the Kremlin, the order remains the same: advance. The Russian war machine shows no signs of halting. It feeds the front line with a conveyor belt of flesh and steel, operating on the grim belief that quantity has a quality all its own. And we must be clear, even a wounded army can be dangerous. Russia still fields one of the largest artillery forces on Earth, and they are willing to burn it all to take the next hill. This is not an enemy collapsing in panic. It is an enemy doubling down. Vladimir Putin hopes Ukraine will simply dig in, exhaust its ammunition against this mass, and wait to be overwhelmed. But he is wrong. Kiev Command Center, 8 a.m. General Alexander Syrsky, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, stands before the digital map of the front. It is a chaotic sea of red arrows, pushing relentlessly against thinning blue lines. For nearly 2 years, the strategy was hold the line. It was a strategy of survival. It was necessary. But Syrsky knows a fundamental truth of warfare. In military doctrine, defense buys time. It does not buy victory. Every modern army learns this lesson eventually. Some learn it early. Others learn it only after losing everything. In 2026, Ukraine is shifting gears. They are not just building a stronger wall, they are sharpening a knife. The order has gone out to the sector commanders. Prepare for strategic offensive operations. Kiev is preparing to seize the operational initiative. This is the nightmare scenario for a Russian army that is overextended, exhausted, and bleeding approximate 30,000 men a month. The Russians are preparing for a siege. They are digging trenches and laying mines, expecting Ukraine to stay passive. But Ukraine is planning to move, and to understand how Ukraine plans to win against a larger enemy, you have to look beyond the tanks and missiles. You have to look at the wiring of the army itself. The Ukrainian military has undergone a massive, silent revolution. They have moved away from the chaotic, provisional, operational tactical groups of the early war. That system was born of emergency and desperation, a patchwork of units thrown together to stop the bleeding. They have now adopted the professional corps system. This sounds like boring bureaucracy, but on the battlefield, it is lethal efficiency. Under the old system, coordination was slow. Different brigades didn't talk to each other. Artillery support took hours to authorize. Intelligence didn't flow fast enough. The new corps system streamlines the command chain. It reduces the burden on the generals, allowing for faster decision-making and more precise execution. Commanders now lead a fixed number of brigades under a unified, cohesive command structure. Imagine and understand the difference. While Russian generals in Moscow are waiting hours for approval to move a tank platoon, Ukrainian corps commanders are executing complex, multi-brigade maneuvers in minutes. They can synchronize infantry, armor, artillery, and drones in real time. Wars are not won by bravery alone. They are won by logistics, timing, and command discipline, by who can move faster inside the chaos. This structural overhaul is the invisible engine that will drive the 2026 offensive. It is the difference between a mob and a machine. This isn't just theory, it has already been tested in blood. Rewind to late 2025. The city of Pokrovsk in the Donbass. Russia was attempting a classic encirclement. They poured men into the sector, wave after wave, using their standard meat assault tactics. They expected the Ukrainians to break under the pressure. Instead, Ukraine launched a series of bite-and-hold counterattacks. They didn't try to retake the whole region in one day. They found the weak seams between Russian units. They struck hard, shattered the line, dug in, and dared the Russians to come back. It was not a clean fight. There were moments when the line nearly broke, moments when retreat was discussed. But the result was a tactical humiliation for Moscow. Ukraine liberated over 165 square miles north of the city. In the process, they inflicted approximate 12,000 Russian casualties in a single sector. This was the proof of concept. The new approach, rigid defense combined with rapid, aggressive counterstrikes, actually works. It proved that the Russian army, for all its size, is brittle. It cannot react to speed. Now, let's look at the Russian reality. Russia is currently losing 22,000 to 32,000 soldiers every single month. In the entire 10-year Soviet-Afghan War, which helped collapse the USSR, the Soviet Union lost 15,000 troops. Putin is losing an Afghanistan war worth of soldiers every 2 weeks. No modern state can absorb losses like that indefinitely. Not economically, and not politically. The Russian recruitment offices are empty. The patriotic fervor of 2022 is gone. And Kremlin has resorted to massive signing bonuses, money that the state can barely afford, to bribe men into the trenches. But even that is failing. They cannot replace the dead fast enough. The quality of the troops is plummeting. They are sending injured men back to the front. They are emptying the prisons. The Kremlin is approaching a breaking point. Putin has desperately avoided full mobilization because he fears domestic unrest. He knows that the moment he drags the sons of Moscow and St. Petersburg into the trenches, the war comes home. But the math is unforgiving. He is running out of volunteers. Soon, he will have to choose between losing the war or risking the stability of his entire regime. And while the army bleeds, the wallet burns. Ukraine's long-range drone campaign has evolved from a nuisance into a strategic strangulation. In late 2025, approximately 10% of Russia's refining capacity was knocked offline by precision strikes. Oil and gas revenues, the cash that buys the bullets, dropped by 23% year over year. This economic damage translates directly to the front line. Less money means inferior equipment. It means seeing T-55 tanks from the 1950s attempting to fight on a modern battlefield. It means soldiers deploying with rusty rifles, expired medical kits, and Chinese golf carts instead of armored personnel carriers. It means poorer training and higher death rates. The economic machinery of Putin's war is beginning to seize up, and once momentum is lost, wars end quickly. Ukraine is applying the hard lessons from the failed 2023 counteroffensive. Back then, they tried to do too much, too fast, across a massive front. They telegraphed their moves. They let the Russians build the Surovikin line. In 2026, the strategy is different. It is silence and speed. They are no longer announcing their targets in the media. They are depriving Russia of the time needed to fortify new positions. They are engaging in asymmetric attrition, using drones and precision artillery to destroy Russian logistics before the tanks even start their engines. They are finding the cracks in the dam and applying pressure until it bursts. Despite this crumbling reality, Putin has set a deadline. He has ordered his generals to capture the entire Donbass region by April 2026. To military experts, this order is a physical impossibility. It took Russia 2 years just to get close to Pokrovsk. Beyond that city lies a 30-mile-wide belt of fortifications Ukraine has been strengthening for 10 years. Cities like Slovyansk and Kramatorsk are not just towns. They are fortresses. They are networks of concrete bunkers, underground tunnels, and overlapping fields of fire. Capturing these bastions in 4 months with an exhausted, under-equipped army is a task that defies the laws of combat. Not because Ukraine is invincible, but because physics, logistics, and human limits still apply. It is an order given by a man looking at a map in a warm office, not a man looking at the mud and blood of the trenches. The stage is set for a decisive year. If Ukraine plays its cards right, 2026 could mark the reversal of Russia's modest gains in Donetsk, not through one dramatic breakthrough, but through pressure, patience, and precision. Vladimir Putin's strategy is built on a dangerous assumption, that he has infinite time and infinite men. But history is unforgiving to leaders who believe that. The graveyards are full and factories are quieter, and the clock is ticking. The Russian army today is a giant with clay feet, massive, intimidating, but cracking under its own weight. And giants do not fall all at once. They stumble and weaken, and then, suddenly, the ground gives way. History is filled with moments exactly like this. Moments when collapse seems impossible. Moments when the system looks too big, too entrenched, too powerful to fail. Right up until it does. The new Ukrainian corps are waiting for the command, not to charge blindly forward, but to move deliberately, faster than their enemy can react. What happens next may not just decide the fate of eastern Ukraine. It may define how modern wars are fought and how they end. So now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the new core system gives Ukraine the edge it needs to finally beat the Russian army? Or will sheer mass and attrition grind this war into another frozen stalemate? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want more clear, cinematic breakdowns of modern warfare like this one, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps, and it ensures you won't miss what comes next.